This is the story of Alice Castonguay and her experience of the Nazi invasion of Deutschland. Alice's first encounter with the Nazis started as a parade through the city. No one had any idea the Nazis would attack. Alice seemed to be the only one to notice the leader of the invasion and what he was saying. The leader was the large man with a small mustache and a hat, and a Nazi symbol on his left arm. In the early morning of the day after the parade, Alice Castonguay was strolling down the street. It was a cold morning of 1940, November 23rd, when the Nazis struck. Alice did notice a closed Jewish store, and shortly after, a tank with guns ready to fire and ear-piercing noise roared down the street. A Nazi came out and started shouting out rules. The first one was all Jewish stores had to be closed, and the second one was that no Jews are allowed to have radios. He got back in the tank, and the tank roared off to life down the street. Alice was shocked. Though she was not Jewish, she had many Jewish friends. She knew something was wrong when she saw that many of the parade people were shouting to each other and talking about what they will do. As the days passed, more rules were announced, and finally on December 5th, the Nazis announced that all Jews have to go to camp. Alice was shocked. After all the rules that have been announced against Jewish people, now they get to go to camp? Alice knew something was wrong, so she knew she had to follow the Nazis. The day was getting late, and Alice's mom is starting to worry, and it looks like Alice's adventure is going to have to continue tomorrow. The next morning, when Alice woke up, she got ready as quickly as possible. She ran to the window to find all the Nazi trucks were nowhere to be seen. She was very confused. Alice ran outside of her house and looked everywhere for the Jews and Nazis. She ran over a bridge and through fields but couldn't find them anywhere, so she headed into town. Alice found the Nazis finally. Alice saw some Nazis that were harassing a little boy. The Nazis were hurting the little boy because he was Jewish. The Nazis shouted and hurt the little boy. Alice noticed the boy wasn't wearing a Jewish star, but the Nazis did not. "Hey, where's your star?" shouted one of the Nazis. Then Mr. Plumpy looked at him and said, "Bring him to the trucks." Alice followed them and found all of their trucks. Alice said, "I have to figure out what's going on at the camp. I'll have to follow the trucks." Alice acted like she was just a normal citizen walking in the streets. Alice ran to keep up with the trucks, trying to stay hidden. Alice looked at a shortcut over a bridge to get to the front of the line of the trucks. She followed the trucks out of town and came to a place with barbed wire. There was a big gate, so no one could get out except the Nazis. Alice followed them beyond the gate to the trucks and then heard them to keep up because she lost sight of them.
Alice lost sight of the trucks and could only hear them. She followed the sound, but it led her to something she was not expecting. At the edge of the forest, she found barbed wire fences. Beyond that, more fenced with people inside them, and old rickety houses that people were forced to live in. Alice ran back to town to her house. She grabbed as much food as she could carry. Alice heard her mother Jensen coming up the stairs. After Alice grabbed the food, she ran out of the house without letting anyone see the food for the Jewish people. Luckily, no one saw her, so she got away. As she was running, she passed Mr. Plumpy. Alice forgot the path back to the camp. She ran all over the place to find it, and finally she did.
Alice found out that she was in a different part of the camp. This part of the camp was mainly kids. She felt so sorry for them, so she gave them her food. She realized that the Nazis were coming and ran back home. She was spotted now. The zombies were after her, and they knew what she looked like. Alice had to sneak home past the Nazis. Alice had been gone for only an hour or two and came back to the Nazis' full reign. She was so devastated. The Nazis roared through town in their tanks, yelling out and hurting people. The town was under full Nazi control. As the years passed, the Nazis got defeated, and Alice went back to the camp after it was liberated and left a flower for every Jew. The landscape returned to the way it was before, and the lily was still there.